Hey guys, Thomas from Team Sakuraso here, and as you guys have read in the title, this is another discussion video, and we will be going over the failure of Legendary Duels. Now, we're going to be going over 5 things in this video, which is where it started, as well as how the sets were received versus now. So we're going to go from Rage of Ra to Soulburning, and I'm going to tell you how it was money versus now, and look over those sealed products, how badly the sealed prices are, because some of these are horrendous. You guys have no idea. Actually, you guys probably do have an idea. I would improve it, because Legendary Duels is a set that I used to really like, especially, you know, the one with Mai, which I believe was the second Legendary Duelist, Duels of the Rose. I really liked that set, and it was received well. So this is a product I would love to see improved. And then I'm going to talk about how this affects stores, because a lot of people don't really realize how it is behind the scenes. I'm a vendor and I work with stores, as well as I know the ins and outs as someone who almost opened up his own shop once. I can kind of tell you guys how the bad sealed prices affect them and more. So before I begin, smash that like button, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of Legendary Duels in the comment section below. I always love the discussion. Check out the sponsors, TCG Player, whatnot, Tapio cards, all that in the description below. And if you love my videos, consider being a YouTube channel member. The goal is 25 to 35 channel members, and we're at 19 right now. So if you guys think the content's good enough and worth it, go consider being a YouTube channel member. And we're just going to get right into this here. So, Legendary Duelist, Rage of Ra. This is what I believe was the spiral down from Legendary Duelist. Now, this released in September 2020, for those who do not know. And this is Legendary Duels. Yes, this is that old. Legendary Duelists are usually a yearly set, but usually they get pushed later and later. So it's not a full year, it's like a year and 2 months. It's not like the tins where they rotate every, say, October. Legendary Duelists are once a year, but sometimes they get pushed back like a year and 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, especially because with COVID, I believe that Duels from Deep actually got pushed back a little further than it was supposed to. But we're gonna get right into it here. So the reason I think it started here is because they took Legendary Duelists and they tried to lean a lot more towards the anime side of things, which is our first Legendary Duelist had to deal with Joey, then we had Mai, and then we had all these other legacy archetypes, and people really liked them because they liked those characters. A lot of people tend to go towards the OGs. Same with Legendary Duelist Rage of Ra. We have Merrick on here, right? Which a lot of people like Merrick in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! They love him as a villain, and, you know, they have that nostalgia. So when you print cards like God Slime, Raw, and a lot of slime cards, Ancient Chant, Jinzo stuff, and all these other cards, as well as give us a chase card, which was the Ghost Rare Raw, people are going to gravitate towards this set. The problem with this is that they never changed the formula as much, and this is actually the set where they started seeing that backfire, because a lot of people were like tired of, oh, you know, they're pandering to like the older players. That's great, but there's nothing for me. And when these sets kind of started dialing back, because for example, Legendary Duelist, Season of the Rose, that had train support. I had Harpy stuff. At least Harpy's kind of a fan favorite. It also had support for Luna Lights, which was also a fan favorite archetype that, you know, was for the anime, but it had more than just Mai. Merrick really mostly just has Merrick. This is all this set really has. It does also have Mech Lord, but Mech Lord is a archetype that a lot of people just don't care about. At the end of the day, people have to admit that, and because of that, you know, people, when this set came out, were like, yeah, I like it because it has money cards. If you guys did not know what the money cards were back then, obviously the Ghost Raw was, I mean, you make a Ghost Rare, and this was the first set with a Ghost Rare from when it comes to Legendary Duelists. People really like that. So this was the chase card. It was 1 per case as well. So when people saw, hey, someone bought 3-4 boxes and didn't get a Ghost Rare, they were like, okay. So the Ghost Rare hasn't been opened yet. That means I can, you know, get the Ghost Rare a lot easier if I buy a box or 2. A lot of people also like the Winged Dragon of Ra alt art, but the second card that was considered a great pull was Egyptian God Slime. This card was, believe it or not, at one point 50-60 bucks going up, and I remember in my market watch I was getting so mad. I'm like, this card should not be this much money just because it's a collector card. Ancient Chant was also worth a lot of money. Now it's very hard to kind of show you guys how much these cards were, but you could see before this got reprinted in our Maze set, this was a $40 card. This set kind of had the issue where when on release, yes, it started to become cheaper, but nothing compared to what we would start seeing in Synchro Storm. Like boxes, you can find them for 60, maybe you could find them for 50, but the people wanted to get that Ghost Raw. You had ultras like Raw, which I believe we can actually kind of see how much this was worth about a year ago. Yeah, this card was always 20s before it got that reprint in Rarity Collection. This was always a $20-ish card. This was always worth money. Guardian Slime and Ancient Chant were worth money. Egyptian God Slime was worth money. So you had ultras that made some money back, but then you also could chase the Ghost Rare Raw. Collectors obviously loved this because Merit got a lot of support, but people were really opening this up for value / I'll get a box or two for nostalgia. This set was kind of mid on release, and it kind of started scaling well over time. This set is now over 4 years old, and it's back to its worth for the first editions, the price that it was back then, because these sets were around $80, $85. I mean, you can say it's a little more now, but mostly because you can't really find this anymore. People just want this for sealed. People aren't opening this up anymore to get value, except unless they really want to hunt down the Ghost Rare Raw, which people like that. But at this price, you could just buy it outright, essentially, for $15, $20 more. There's no reason to gamble 1 out of 12 to try to get this card, especially because your ultras, they're not going to help you as much, especially right now. The only one that's not reprinted is Guardian Slime at 15. Once that gets reprinted, all this set has is the Ghost Rare. So the reliance on banking on the collectors and the nostalgia from people really kind of started taking this set. However, on the next set, this is kind of where we started suffering. Unironically, as I am filming this video, I think this set is in a better spot than it was, a couple months ago and even further beyond. Now, when this set came out, and as you guys could see here, it is $33. But this set has been nothing anywhere from $24, $23, as cheap as that. You guys see 28, but these were 25s at one point. Again, I wish they had a 5-year on this so I could see it, show you guys, but the graphs here aren't always accurate. This set flopped, and the reason why this set flopped is because this was a Baron or bust set. If you did not pull Baron, your most expensive ultra at the time, Lyra Cells were doing a little something. This card was an $8 card, believe it or not, Bird Call. But if you did not pull your $8 to $10 Bird Call, that was the second best ultra. Everything else was $5 or less. You had Robins at like 3s, Cork Shooters were an infamous $2 card, Crystal Wings were like $5, Celestial Wagtails were like $3-4. But again, this was on release after like 2-3 weeks, about a month, let's say. A lot of this set was down in the dumps. Except for Bird Call, it was less than $5. Except you did have the Ghost Jar, which was quite cheap at the time. If you go back to a year, it's hard to see, but you can see at that $20 mark. But this Ghost Jar was as cheap as $15 to $18 at one point. And I know because I also opened up a lot of this set because the set was so cheap that I mean to put on my channel on how fast I can open this set. If you're an old sub, you'll know. And the reason why this set failed is because it only had one card that people were really interested in besides Bird Call. And this set, remember, has multiple ultras. You're not pulling 3 ultras like deck building sets. You are pulling 4 to 5 ultras here. So when the ultra pool is not good, the whole set suffers. So people were opening this up to see, oh, can I get a Baron? Can I not get a Baron? And a lot of people were just opting, instead of like buying up like 3 boxes and getting unlucky, or 4 boxes and getting unlucky, because Baron did feel like you were getting only maybe 3 per case. Why not just get the single? Because the set really was that worthless. You could, even if you pulled a Baron out of 3 boxes, you still might neg, or you barely will make anything. But here's the thing, there's also a chance that if you bought those 3 boxes, your Baron wouldn't be in there. So people were opting to get those singles. This set is now a little better because Speedroid's got some support. Crystal Clearwing actually has a deck to be played in now. So the set's getting a little bit better, but it is still very, very cheap. Remember, this is like a 2021 set. So that's the problem. They were banking on the same formula that they were, but they put, as you guys can see here, someone from either Vrains or whatever's after Zexal, and all that, Arc V. And Arc V doesn't really have the pull for players that old school Yu-Gi-Oh does, and some people may disagree with that, but at the end of the day, you know, old DM era GX and 5Ds are going to pull way more people on the collector slash nostalgia than Zexal and above. That's just how the game has worked. It doesn't mean that you can't like it or whatever. I know someone's going to get upset when I say that, but it's true. This guy's not going to have the pool, and because he didn't have the pool and they did not change the formula when they released some of his cards and all that, it was just Baron or bust because it was an Omni Negate. They ended up putting a meta card in this that was the best extra deck card that people were making at that time in this set, or maybe not at the time, but the best synchro by far. We did not have Chaos Angel at this time, but this is a card good enough to be banned. So, and when they reprinted it, there was no reason to visit this set at all. And I want to talk about right now how this suffers in stores. Now, you could also see Legendary Duelist, Duels from the Deep, did the same thing. It is $30. And guys, this set, because of Synchro Storm had a fall from grace, right? It wasn't $30 overnight. It became 50, 40s, 30s. Like, I do remember this sitting at least at 45 for a box, which is bad, but it's not as bad as what it became later on and the next two following, right? 45, 50, right? But because of how bad this set was, and a lot of players were like, yeah, it's Baron or bust, I don't like this set feels awful to open, etc., etc. When we got Legendary Duels from the Deep, this set fell way quicker, much quicker. This set became $30 within a month of release, right? That's because this set didn't even have its own version of Baron. But before we get into it, I want to talk about the sales of this box here. Because this doesn't sell well, it affects stores. And if you guys don't know, when stores buy product, especially Yu-Gi-Oh product, if they just see a set that's bad, they cannot simply not buy it. And you guys are probably thinking, oh, it's because, you know, they don't want players to not come to the store. No, it's nothing like that. It is a distributor problem. If you don't buy the bad sets from a distributor, they're going to take the good sets and they're going to sell less to you. So let's say you only want like 2 or 3 cases of Duels from the Deep. Okay, cool. But when Rarity Collection comes around and that's going to sell like hotcakes, you're not going to get your 15 cases of Rarity 1 or Rarity 2. You're going to get 2 or 3, maybe 4, maybe 1. You know, that's what the thing about these sets. So when they release these bad Legendary Duel sets and they flop, the store has to look at it and be like, we have to lose a lot of money so that we can do well on this store. And it really suffers. And you're going to see how bad it is when I get to Soulburning Volcano. Now, this set on release had Ghost Rare on an arc. Hat was not as good at the time. Even though I like this Ghost Rare, it didn't really make waves. And this card's always been very stable at, like, you see it at 17 here. This card was 25 at one point, but it was always like cheap, right? So their exclusive card wasn't a lot of money. Droplets was the main way to make money on this. However, this card, it was a reprint that was going to be in the tins, which it was, and then became in Rarity Collection 1, which, remember, Rarity 1 didn't come out super long after this set came out. It was, you know, pretty quick. And again, we had the Mega Pack Prismatic Secret as well. People would rather have the OG Secret or that. So this was the worst of the 3 prints when at the time, very quickly. So that's the problem. You had fish and water support here. Now, a lot of people did like the mermail support when this came out. But besides the mermail stuff and the droplet, nobody really liked this set. Thus, nobody wanted to open it. So it started dropping very, very hard. This was stacked on shelves. To this day, every card shop I see has this set. Seal boxes, a ton of them. To this day. And this released in mid-2022, and we are in 2025. So, yes, we have 7th Ascension now, 2 years later. But still, this set has been about sub $25 to $35 for a very long time. And I would open this up as a meme as well, because I used to open up Legendary Duelist for memes because of how bad and cheap it was. This set suffered. Now, you did have Miniature Spring Girl as a $3 super, but a lot of people, like they said, they saw this as worse than Legendary Duelist Synchro Storm because at least that had Baron, but they had the droplet reprint. Konami knew that this set was bad, so they had to give us a droplet reprint. and this was the only thing that made this set worth money enough to somewhat open or even be considered at that time. So when this set came out, it went to 30 very, very quickly. Which brings us to Legendary Duelist Soulburning Volcano. Guys, this set was so bad that I actually had a store owner talk to me and get emotional because he literally did not want to buy it, but he had to. He was emotional. Like, I literally, like, I'm not gonna say he was about to cry, but he was tearing up with how bad this set was. It did not sell at all, right? And this was a shop that pulled some decent numbers when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh players, right? Not amazing, but you got, yeah, about 16-man locals, anywhere from 12, 13 to 20, right? But usually it was enough to have, you know, 16, 17, something like that, right? Which is not bad for a Yu-Gi-Oh locals. That's pretty good. I've heard a lot worse. Could not sell a case of this. Could not at all. This set, within a week, or not even within a week, yeah, I'm gonna say within a week just because somebody proved wrong, but I have market watches going over this and seeing this set as low as $35 within 2 days, 3 days of its release. It was that bad, and the reason being is because this set had nothing when it released. They relied on a Vrain's character. I believe that's a Vrain's character. And, oh, Volcanics, people really love those. You know, shout out to Pain, by the way. If you're watching this video, how you doing, my man? This set really had people like the Ghost Rare, but not enough to open it. And they had Salman Great support, which was the only thing people kind of liked. And the only thing that was the saving grace was Raging Phoenix, which this is low right now because we had the QC announced. But we had this for Snake Eyes. So this was like anywhere from a $25, $30 to a $50 card at times. And this was the real only value that this had besides Salmon Great Fire, which today is about a $4 or $5 card. This card was about, I mean, you could see it. It's like $7 here. This card was 20 when it released. This was considered the good Ultra along with Raging Phoenix. People didn't want to buy this. It was considered that bad when it came out. And to this day, like I said, people still have this. It doesn't sell. This set's not going to sell. This was a waste of time. And they kept repeating the same formula that they were to make money. They were like, oh, if we put an anime character on it, and we put the anime only cards, and we put very few other cards we think is good, guys, it'll work out. And it did. They failed 3 times in a row. At least Barons probably sold at least enough for Synchro Storm to be considered just bad, or at least make some type of profit. So before I begin on how I would improve Legendary Duelist Soulburning Volcano, very quickly, if you haven't hit that like button, smash that like button. It helps more people see this, get more eyes on it. Hey, maybe someone from Konami or a bigger Yu-Gi tuber looks at this video, wants to talk about it themselves, and Konami realizes that, hey, this product's awful, which they probably do with how they're making the release dates from each one a little more wider. From what I've noticed, not too noticeable, but noticeable enough, as well as helps me in the algo. And let me know how you would improve it as well. Now, here's how I would improve it. Now, the number one thing is I look at how they built deck building sets, you know, like Crossover Breaker and how they improve that. And the one way you shouldn't do it, I want to get this out of the way, is throwing a bunch of QCs in it. We're getting QCs, they're ending very, very soon. So if we just have one random Legendary Duel Soulburning Legendary Duels with QCs, it could still be a bad set. People might not like it, might have very expensive QCs, but it's also not even going to solve the problem. But again, we'd also have to get a Legendary Duels pumped out very quickly since I believe Alliance Insight is the last set that has QCs. And high rarity, even if they say, oh, let's put some more Ghost Rares into it. Yeah, people would like that. Oh, you get a Ghost Rare, you know, Raging Phoenix, or, you know, from Legendary Duels, you get a Ghost Rare Droplet, right? Which having a Ghost Rare spell would be very cool, actually, to see. I don't think putting high rarity in a set and just spamming high rarity is the way to really improve these sets for the masses to really like and want to open it. Although it can add as a factor. What I personally think that they should do is they always have a revolving theme / anime character they want to put on it. I personally believe what they should do is they need to bump that up to 3 or 4. All right. For example, right, whoever this guy is from Vrain's, right? Okay, well, Trickstar, people like Trickstar a lot, actually, especially even in the OCG, right? So how about, instead of just putting some fire stuff and try making an attribute thing and all this and that, you start putting like 3 or 4 characters. You put some older cards as well, like, you know, how you put Merrick, you put someone else, like it could be someone like Weevil, anything, right? Maybe you could put some dinosaur support with Rex, right? So you have Rex on there, you have maybe some Trick Stars or something that could, you know, is more popular than Trick Stars, and then you have something else, and that's 3 or 4 characters, as well as you up the pool of ultras. I actually, because usually these sets, I don't even know how many ultras it has. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it has 10 ultras. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so how about we bump it up from 3 characters to 20 ultras, right? Remember, you're pulling like 5 ultras in a box, right? So if you get 4 boxes, that you're realistically going to see it all. That means that with a case, if there's a good ultra, you're probably going to get over a case of it, or over a set of it, or at least a play set of it, of that card. So it maintains some value, but it doesn't, you know, mean that everything is going to be as giga expensive. If they want to try a smaller number, just in case, like say 16, just in case 20 might be a little too much, that's fine. But you can play around with the ultras a little more and be like, oh, you know, the dinosaur guy could get a little more than the other 2 because Rex is the most popular, or this and that. And they can make these cards seem a little more generic. When it comes to our archetypes. For example, dinosaurs have not been as good for a while now. You can say, give them something where it may not break the deck, but it can make them meta relevant again, right? So now, oh boy, we have all the collectors, but look, some meta players might like some of this stuff, right? And one thing you can do actually as well that might help is maybe make one of the ultras or 2 of the ultras a lower rarity than, say, a secret rare that's a lot of money from like a core set or something else. So, for example, let's say Load, right? I think Load isn't going to get reprinted for a while, but they might rush it out. They've done this before where they rush out a reprint before the tins, because usually the first reprint we get of a card is the Mega Tins in a year. But now Konami's kind of lowered it. Sometimes they'll put in the next rarity collection within 6 months, which is insane, like Fua, right? Because they realize, hey, that's a staple, blah, blah, blah. They could do something like that where, like, let's say Lordy Load is in that set as an Ultra. So not only... First of all, it's not going to hurt the value of as much of the secret rare, but the secret rares are still high rarity, max rarity, so people don't feel like hey, I spent, like, let's say $70 on my loads, I lost a lot of money. They can reprint Load as an Ultra. The Ultra will probably be $30, and hey, that's more budget friendly than $70. What would you rather spend, $90 for a set or $210 for the set of loads? And then the secrets might go down a little bit, but they'll still be more value over the ultras. And again, it's still, you know, you still got to pull it as well. That would really, really help here. They really do need to look at Legendary Duelist as a partial reprint set in a way, right? It doesn't have to go crazy with its reprints, but let's see Legendary Duelist. You got Droplet here, right? Putting Droplet helped make sure I still think Konami negged on this set. Maybe not as bad as like Hidden Arsenal, but without Droplet, I don't want to imagine how bad this set would be on release. I think it would be the worst set. People would call it the worst set by far if it did not have Droplet, right? Droplet partially saved this set, right? Because Marincess couldn't carry. It wasn't going to carry, even though people like Marincess a lot. The same thing could happen when they make this new Legendary Duel. So now we have 2 more, let's say 2 more characters so, you know, it has more pull for the collectors and the nostalgia. You make the cards more appeal towards meta relevant players, and then you try to throw in an emergency reprint or 2 that could be really, really good. Then I want to say, I think that something that would be really cool is if they also try to bring back a pass rarity, not QCs, but let's say they actually put ultis in here. And I mean that, like, think about like this: every 6 boxes you get an ultimate rare. Or you know what? How about this? Not every 6 boxes, every 3 boxes you get an ulti. And the ulti pool is 10. There's 10 ultis you can pull, right? One of them is, you know, because they did that for crossover breakers. There's 10 QCs you can pull. Same thing. They could do the same thing for those Legendary Duels. 10 ultis, right? So now you have the 5th. And again, you could still keep the ratios on the ultras of 4 to 6. I've seen 6 ultras pulled, but usually it's like 5 ultras is usually what I see from these Legendary Duels. So you have, say, a group of 15 to 20, maybe 16, whatever the hell they want to do. ultras, you pull 5 ultras, you have more appeal from the collectors. I'm not going to repeat myself. That, I think, would sell a Legendary Duelist, or at least make sure that shops don't neg on the set. And that would be great. Even if they use the OTS foiling, people will still buy them. Even though I don't like OTS foiling, Zexal had the best ulti foiling ever. By far, in my opinion, best looking ultis. So that is how I would improve these Legendary Duel sets. I want to know in the comments section below what you guys think of my ideas. Do you guys like these kinds of discussion videos that go in depth? Because the last one about OTS has 2,500 views. You guys really liked that a lot. If you haven't checked out, it'll be right over here. Go check out. It's on the failure of OTS. If you like these longer discussion videos, smash that like button, join my Discord, all that, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.